Screenless. Hello and welcome to another episode of Creative Cuppa with me, Gareth Davies. I'm a composer for TV and a podcaster, obviously, you're listening to this, and also for making a soundtrack. If you're interested in TV and film soundtracks and want to have a peek behind the production curtain, have a listen to that. Available right now in your podcast app for free. So, I typed creativity is into Google and it came up with some suggestions to complete my search. Here are some of them. Creativity is intelligence having fun. That's a nice way to put it. Creativity is contagious, pass it on. Interesting, certainly in these times. Creativity is not a competition. That's nice, isn't it? It certainly isn't. Creativity is the greatest rebellion in existence. Creativity is the highest form of intelligence. Don't know about that. Creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing. I certainly agree with that. I put it to the Creative Cuppa Facebook group as well. Richard says, creativity is life. It's very profound, Richard. Giles says, creativity is having a banjo and knowing when to use it. Never a true word said, Giles. And Charles, I actually had put answer in the comments, and Charles replied, I've looked in the comments, but I've not found the answer. Very chucklesome, Charles. Thank you very much. On Instagram, creativity is a gift to be used and shared. Very nice. Thank you, Mum. And Rod says, sometimes difficult to switch on, but much harder to switch off. Very true when the ideas start flowing. That's the thing about creativity, isn't it? All of those answers are different, but as correct as the next. The whole point of creativity is that the possibilities are endless. Ooh, creativity is invention. What do you think? You can join in the conversation wherever you see @ScreenlessPod on the social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And come and join the Creative Cuppa Facebook group for the witty answers. Today's guest knows all about creativity, as you will find out in a mo. So if you have your cuppa ready, here we go. Emma Wreyford, creative workshop developer, former aerial performer with the Swedish Independent Circus. Welcome to Creative Cuppa.
Hello, Gareth. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, Emma, you've pivoted your business model because of the lockdowns. What did your business look like before lockdown and how has it changed?
Pivot is the word, isn't it? It's definitely the word of the season. So before COVID, I used to develop and deliver a workshop every week in kind of an after-school club, an after-school art and creativity club. I think I was seeing maybe 120 children a week, going into a few different schools around Bristol where I live. Basically with the idea to try to offer them kind of an exploration, a way of not having to tick a box, not having to make a particular thing, not having to... I suppose I'm thinking that schools are offering lots of boxes to tick already. So perhaps I'm trying to give the children a chance to just fiddle and play and explore with art materials. Of course, lockdown arrives. No more am I allowed to go into school. I must stay home. Oh, having said that, I do have my own workshop where I was also offering sessions and parties and other things. That's something else as well, which is still not allowed. So
got it to look forward to.
I hope so. I really do hope so. The idea of going back into school still seems so far away now, though. I kept on thinking, well, maybe by September, maybe by Easter. I've got September again in my head, but we'll just wait and see. We'll wait and see. So now what I do is, I suppose the simple version is I've just packaged up Art Club and I've put it into a box and made it into a subscription package, which is on one hand brilliant. I'm really, really happy that I'm able to kind of, package up that ethos, package up those ideas and allow children still to have the opportunity to make things, without instruction and without real, you must do this, step 1, step 2, step 3. But from my point of view, I really miss them. I don't get to talk to them, you know, because really the stories that come behind the makes is often the things that really, I don't know, give me so much joy. You've got a child who on some level is sort of frightened of getting it wrong or worried that they're not achieving. And then when they figure out how to put different materials together or how to give something personality, and you ask them about it, and then they spend 10 minutes telling you the story of this whole world they've created in their head. To me, I mean, that's really creativity, no? You're giving them the opportunity to think.
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so. I used to be a year one primary school teacher.
Oh, did you?
And it was the creative writing was the hardest thing.
Oh, really?
Because it would be a fear of getting it wrong.
Yeah.
When in fact, creative writing is all about exploring the imagination. There's no wrong.
It's so
really in
hard,
that. So it was a hard barrier to. Once they got through it, it was great. But getting through that barrier was a difficult thing. Would you say then? Would it be fair? And there's probably a bit of a profound question early on, but
go on.
That the key to your creativity is curiosity.
Ooh.
You seem to be endlessly curious about creative things.
Do you know what? I think that's a really brilliant encapsulation of it, because it's all about questions, isn't it? Because at no point am I saying, "Oh, you've made a dog." I'm saying, "Look at that. Who is it?"
Yeah.
Do you know? I'm never telling them what it is, because you'll probably know, because as soon as you say to the kid, "Oh, look at the dog," they'll go, "That's not a dog. It's a space elephant with 17 legs. How have you not understood this?" And you've squashed them. That's it. You've already told them they've done it wrong because it isn't a dog. Do you know? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is curiosity. It is kind of questioning. And
it seems to me that curiosity has kind of followed you over your whole career. You've been an aerial performer. I mean, we need to tackle these one by one.
Okay.
An aerial performer with an independent Swedish circus.
Yes, Naked Ape they were called.
That's fantastic. I mean, do you mean aerial performer as in the trapeze?
I mean, they
tightrope. What was it?
Well, they strung me 10 metres up in the air on an outdoor rig, no harness, and it's called a tissue strop. So I'm sure you've seen silks. This is basically a big piece of fabric that hangs down. So this is a piece of fabric that is sort of in a loop and joined at both ends. So I'm kind of sort of like, it can be like a little nest, or it can be like a soft trapeze, I suppose, is an easy way to explain it. I cannot pretend that I was very good, Gareth. Listen.
I can barely say it. So,
well,
you know.
I could barely do it. There was one performance. Well, the thing is, I get so carried away with the performance, I forgot to check my rigging as I was going up, because, you know, each individual performer is responsible for their own rigging. And maybe this isn't the right thing to say, but, I mean, I was at that moment pretty unsafe. Excuse me. And I could see the stage manager running towards, so there was somebody else on the end of my line. It's called a counterbalance. So it was actually my partner at the time. He is in charge of me going up and down. So I start on the ground and he is up high on the truss. And as he climbs down, I go up. So he's balancing me. This makes sense with my hand movements. But,
it is. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Balancing your hands.
Exactly. And so then I was up at my 10 metre spot, just rolling and play. Basically, I'm a clown, I think. I think I'm just a bit of an idiot, you know, clowning around the character I was playing, certainly not necessarily myself. And I saw the stage manager run to my partner, go in, get her down. And I turned around and looked up and saw that a piece of the fabric, the tissue strop, was inside the carabiner. So anyone who knows anything about rigging will know that this is dangerous. So he brought me down and I ran to the front and I sorted it out and I did a whole "I'm alive" to the audience, and it was really funny. And I didn't really think anything of it until I watched it back and went, "Oh, I was really foolish. I didn't sort myself out in that moment."
Crikey. So going on from there to working in the wardrobe departments of quite a few West End musicals.
Yeah, I ended up in quite a few different musicals, actually. It was pure luck and a spot of nepotism, which is unfortunately often how things work, particularly in the kind of theatre world, unfortunately. I was working as a dancer and was a little bit disillusioned with it, thought perhaps I would be looking for something else, and I had a friend who was working in the wardrobe department of Les Mis at the time. I'd never seen it, but I do hear that it's one
I actually went to see it.
Did you really?
It was in Piccadilly.
Yeah, at the Palace.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. I mean...
This was mid-90s, I think.
Yeah, more than likely, it was me making sure that coat got on stage.
I thought the costumes were particularly
they were
good.
so good. Outrageous. Oh dear. I was just about to say about how on my last night I did a really bad thing and went underneath the table on the at the wedding scene. I got in so much trouble. It was such a foolish... I was a kid. I shouldn't have done it. The stage manager said if you weren't leaving, you'd be out on your rear. And of course I would. Of course I would have, but yeah. I shouldn't say that, should I?
Life on the edge.
I know.
Life on the edge.
Oh, outrageous. It was so much fun.
But that took you, when you were out on your ear in the end.
Yes.
You started your own lounging suit clothing line.
Oh, my goodness. So, of course, now everybody knows about onesies, don't they? Onesies are ubiquitous. No doubt you are, of course, wearing one as we're recording this, Gareth.
Of course, yes.
Working it.
Leopard.
Yeah. So, I was living in a warehouse with lots of circus performers, and we were cold because there was, holes in the windows and things. And we were training, and I thought maybe I could make something to keep us warm. So I made this sort of an all-in-one thing, and then more people wanted them, and more people wanted them. So I decided, well, maybe I should try and sell these. Got myself a little stall at Spitalfields Market, and the funny thing, now looking back at it, the hard thing was trying to get people to accept it in the first place. People thought it was such a crazy idea. This will never catch on, etc. This is so weird. I'm going to look ridiculous in that. And I'm saying, don't worry about what you look like. Just get in. It's so cozy. It's so comfy. Obviously, eventually, I can't pretend it was me that made onesies happen, but I'm sure someone saw me. I'm sure someone somewhere saw my little stall at Spitalfields and decided to run with it. But yes, of course, now they're everywhere and they only cost a tenner. So I stopped making those because I couldn't necessarily make enough money on them. But it's interesting how being behind that market stall, it really did feel as if I was performing. It really did feel as if you have to kind of put on a persona because you're sort of putting your heart on the line, making something and then trying to ask people to sell it, trying to convince people that your idea is a good one. And they might not have seen it before, but it might be weird, but they should try. I definitely had to put a little performance face on. And I suppose now I'm still kind of doing the same thing because with these art club takeaways, I'm doing videos to go along with it, which I find I really like doing. It's really, I feel like that performer was such a long time ago, and I'm also almost a little bit embarrassed by her, perhaps. I don't know, but it does feel so much in the past. But actually, it just really proves that everything from before really does inform now, doesn't it? You're kind of, you pick up those little bits of creativity or those little bits of, well, fear, and anything. It comes with you, and you bring it along, which is why it's so important to start early, to give children the opportunity to think beyond the tick boxes, to think beyond all the all the expectations, because then they get the chance to see that they can, and it's okay to explore and to try things, and that actually it's more than okay, it's really important, because who knows what arrives when you're given the freedom to think outside the box. I'm going to say outside the box.
Yes, very, very much.
Yeah.
And we spoke briefly earlier about children getting over the barrier of thinking they're not doing something right, when in fact creativity is all about exploring the imagination. And so you're all for that, aren't you? Developing that creative thinking by making mistakes in inverted commas.
Absolutely, and you're so right.
We need a different label.
They do have to be in inverted commas, that idea of mistakes, because I really don't believe, that they're not wrong. It's just somewhere on a path. In fact, I often say it about being given the opportunity to look at something from a different angle, or having something turned upside down so that you can see it in a different way. I think it's really, really important that children are able to understand that they don't just have to tick that one box, make that one thing look just like that. I mean, again, there are all sorts of things outside in the world that are giving children the idea that they should be, I don't want to say conforming. I'm not trying to say I'm a non-conformist. I probably am. But, it's kind of give them opportunities to find themselves in the situation rather than just to be exactly who that other person is. Do you know? Yeah. And mistakes, or doing things wrong, or doing things differently, or having to change your plan, having to alter the way you look at things. I think this is really, really beneficial for all of us, actually, because we find it can really develop kind of resilience. It can really help us feel more confident for the next time something goes wrong. And actually, bad things will happen to us. Things will actually go wrong. So if we've experienced things not working out, and then us being able to work with that, look at it differently, continue along our path or journey, and then that can only help us in the future, I think.
Yeah, it's a bold thing for children to embrace, isn't it? Because especially at that age, and adults alike, but when kids are young, they're sponges, they're learning, they're looking around them thinking, how do I do this? And so to go, actually, no, I'm going to do it my own way, that's a little bit counterintuitive for kids,
isn't it?
And then you learn as a kid to conform and do it that way, and then you grow up and you think that's the way it should be done.
That's absolutely it. Just
so
shows.
it's important for adults as well, I suppose, to try and break out of that conformity, to be role models for the kids to be able to do that. Yeah, it's a vicious circle, isn't it, in the end?
It is a bit, isn't it? But of course, we're a little bit, as adults, we're a bit stuck. Like, we've already been informed. I hear so many grown-ups saying, "Oh, I'm dreadful at art. I can't, I can't draw a thing. I'm awful." And I'm thinking, who's told you that? Like, you are one of the most creative people I know. Yet, because you were told you couldn't replicate Van Gogh's sunflowers, that's it, you're dreadful. I mean, it's so hard. And we believe all the bad stuff, don't we? We always believe the negative things.
I hear people saying, I can't sing. Well, do you have a voice? Can you open your mouth and sing along to a tune? Then you can sing.
I'm sure.
It's as simple as that.
But that's exactly it. And also, you can practice, can't you? The same as anything.
Yeah.
It's all about, for me, there's kind of your eye and your hand, they have to work together. You can't necessarily just do it, but you can practice it. And sure, the same for singing. You make a noise and then you can hone it and you can practice. And,
absolutely. If you enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true, I suppose. That's true. Otherwise, go and do something else. Skateboarding.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, Emma, where can people find your work online for... hang on a minute. Oh. Chandos Atelier.
Oh, you've got it.
Well, I said it right.
Yeah, you've done it. It's perfect. Thank you so much. It's my own fault for making such a ridiculous name. It's because I was trying to...
What does it mean?
Well, it's the road that I live on is called Chandos Road. My dad owned this building for quite a long time before I was in it. And actually, this road, Chandos Road, does have a bit of a link to my grandmother, who had a little pottery shop. She was a potter and she made pots and sold them in a tiny shop on this road. I don't know how many years ago. I'm going to say 50. I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's this Chandos comes from Chandos Road, the road that I live on. And atelier is a French word for workshop, kind of. When I very first came back into this building, I was making costumes. So I brought my costume workshop back into here. I brought my sewing machines and things. And so therefore the idea of an atelier is a bit like you make things, but you can also try on things and sell things. Fashion houses have them. Basically, I was trying to be a bit sneaky so that people wouldn't necessarily know what was going on inside here. Because if I use a French word that nobody gets, and I think it worked. I mean, now I just pull my blinds down and no one can see me. So it's all right. Where can people find me? Sorry. My website is chandosatelier.co.uk. This is where you can look at my art club takeaways and all the different offers that I bring for children, basically. The ideas of sort of playing and experimenting and exploring. There are lots and lots of different ideas on there. But I have also just started myself my own new Instagram account with a very humble name of Creativity Queen UK. Didn't want to over-egg the pudding, I can't, even saying that out loud, I feel very embarrassed. Anyway, so I'm espousing all of this creativity all the time, and I realised, particularly during lockdown, I was having no time at all for myself to be creative, nothing. So I decided I would, by making this account and by saying I'm going to do it means I've got to do it, obviously. This is kind of accountability idea. I have decided to do 100 days of self-portraits. So I'm just spending 30 minutes a day just playing around with materials. It's important to say I don't think of myself as an artist. Basically, I'm not somebody who has ideas and makes work and sells it. To me, that's kind of, even though I suppose I'm telling everybody. They can all be an artist. If you make work, you're an artist. This is the difference between the children and the adult world, isn't it? What I'm trying to say is anyone can just pick up some stuff and have a fiddle and have a play and spend a bit of time basically just creating. It doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter what comes out. And if you look at my account, you will see some things work better than others. Some things look like me. Some things definitely don't look like me. But also, I think the idea of looking at yourself is really good. It feels a bit like, I'm going to say self-care. I'm not keen on all of these sort of terms, but it does feel...
They all mean the same thing,
yeah,
really,
do you
don't
know, you're kind of looking after yourself by really noticing yourself, having a look.
And also being that role model for the kids. You know, you're showing that you enjoy it, you are taking time to be creative yourself.
Yes.
So leading from the front.
Hey.
We could chat all day about this stuff. But for now, Emma Wreyford, thank you for joining me for a cuppa.
Gareth, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again to Emma for her time. That was fascinating, wasn't it? Not just about Emma's work and creative life, but about creativity as a whole. Creativity is curiosity. That's so true. You can find links to Emma's stuff in the show notes, so go and take a look. And as ever, if you could give this show or even episode a positive rating and review, I'd be so grateful. It's really nice to get feedback. You can also like and share posts if you like. It all helps. Basically, if you like it, pass it on. Until next time then, thank you for joining me for a cuppa.